it did not help, chat. It did not help at all. The algorithm did me no favors. This thumbnail just makes me look ridiculous. That's it. It does not help with the algorithm. Maybe if I keep releasing thumbnails like this for a long while, people will click. Or maybe it's just like the fact that I have a more mature audience, like the game journalists wished the industry to have, and a more mature audience doesn't click on this type of nonsense. But it is what it is. So we're going to discuss about something interesting. Hello, Echo Drift, Solid Slug. I see you guys in the chat. Katis Fineto is in the chat. Some new people as well. I don't think I ever seen Tomcat. Tetrium as well. Tetrium, I know him, but like, yeah. Roland Rush, hello to you too, and Davey. Okay, let's discuss about an interesting topic. Tipping. I really find tipping interesting because some countries don't have it, and if your country doesn't have it, you don't know how lucky you are. Other countries have it, and it's optional. I, for example, stopped tipping. I genuinely did. And the reason for it is that when you go out and you eat almost every single day, it adds up. So I tip like once a week, and I give like a larger tip. But the main issue that I have in Romania is that they don't let you tip with POS. I don't know why, but like if I want to ask the waiter, it's like, can you add a little bit extra on the POS so that I can pay with card? They don't do that. Also, like I think that if you tip electronically, like if you tip with the MasterCard, then the main issue would be that how do you know the waiter gets it? Right? Because like when you give the cash to the waiter, like he puts it in his pocket and he has the money. But like if you give it electronically, then I guess like the restaurant owner has the money, and how does he know how much did that particular waiter got per that particular day? Anyway, I'm pretty sure they might know, but like it's just weird, right? So because I use card a lot, I don't tip as often because I don't have cash. But when I do have cash, I give like a large tip once per week. But here in Romania, it's optional. In America, it's a big deal, especially in liberal cities, right? Like the blue states. If you go into a city, they make a huge deal about tipping. To the point where you have like this lady, which went viral. Like a lot of people were talking about her on Twitter. She returned customers a $400 grocery order after they didn't tip. And people are asking whether or not what she did is right. No, like, I don't think what she did is right. I do believe that the problem is the government in the United States. There are some states, not all of them. But they have legislations where they tax you extra because they believe that due to the job that you're doing, you're getting tipped anyway. So they're taxing you extra, right? So because of that, the people who do these jobs, they get upset if you don't tip. And they actually freak out. Like I seen people on forums, waiters, like spitting on food and shit like that. They're talking about it on forums like Reddit. And I'm like, like that's very interesting. Like they don't do that here. And we also have like a sort of tipping culture. But like the tipping culture in the United States is completely gone cuckoo, gone insane. Is it true? Like, I need it from the Americans to tell me. Next month is my 1-year anniversary for discovering your channel. Thanks for radicalizing me, bigot. Oh my god. Maybe I'm going to see your girlfriend in the New York Times saying, like, my boyfriend got radicalized by YouTube. They should illegalize tipping and give people proper wages. I mean, from the perspective of the restaurant owner, they probably love tipping because they don't have to pay the employee as much. It's like, well, you're going to get money from tips, so shut the fuck up. Here in Mexico, it's everywhere. They even have a tip box in the counter So you can tip even if you go for your order. Oh, come the fuck on. That is beyond ridiculous. Like the whole thing with tipping. What was the video staged? I don't know. Like if that video was staged, fine. But there are so many comments on forums to the point where I genuinely believe that there is a phenomenon where people yeah, no, like literally, they you have waitresses chipping out if you don't give them tips. It's meh. Anyway, what I was saying is that hope your day is good and high spirits. Do you tip American Outlier? Right, the idea of tipping was that there are certain services which you can perform, I suppose, differently, right? Like if you go into a restaurant and the service is good, you feel better than if you go to another restaurant where the service is average. Like the purpose of a waiter is obviously to bring you the food. However, if he sparks interesting conversation, if he understands the menu and doesn't mistake your order, if he manages to bring it to you in an adequate time, but like, most of this thing is ridiculous anyway, right? Because like a lot of the things don't really depend on the waiter. Like, he can't bring it to you faster than it's being cooked, right? Like, he can't go to the kitchen and cook it himself. Like, if the waiter brings it to you on time, then it's the cooks that should be congratulated, not the waiter. But like, when it comes to like getting your hair done, right? Like, if the hairstylist does a really great job, basically it's like things that require creativity, the way I see it. Right? Like, if you go into a taxi driver and he... Even, like, all taxi drivers are going to get you to your destination, hopefully. But, like, this taxi driver manages to get you on time. And he doesn't get the food from your stomach to come out of your mouth because he drives slowly and... Right? Yeah, if it doesn't spit in your food. I do not know the difference between Martini Henry and Henry Rifle. Are you the one that goes to Archcast and asks me these things? So I generally am curious, right? Like, when did the tipping thing started? But what I do know is that Americans are the ones that get the most upset. On the opposite end of the scale, Japanese people do not accept tipping. Like, if you go to Japan, it's considered insulting to tip. It's because you're basically saying that his job is worth this much, right? So, like, if a waiter gets tipped, like, let's say $20 and another gets tipped $40... right? Like, does that mean that the one that got tipped 40 did a better job than the one that got tipped 20? So they don't accept it, basically. Like, they do not have the tip culture, and I genuinely think this is a lot better. I clicked away and it popped up in the recommended on another video. I have to get out of here. No! Bagelmansk! You must stay. Is this because of the soy pog? Huh? Is it because of the soy pog that my video gets recommended? I mean, that would be interesting. Japanese people don't just want the tip. No. They want the whole thing, not just the tip. That's not why it's not accepted in Japan? Well, go on. Like, tell me why it's not accepted. This is the explanation that I heard from a Japanese person. But, like, if you have a different explanation, go on. I'm genuinely curious. I think the employer should pay properly. If the employer pays properly, people still tip. Like, the employer... first of all, the service industry... Like, let's discuss a little bit about the service industry, because there's a little bit of a misconception here. You have, like, the average place, right? Like, your local pizzeria, your average, place where you go. Those do not hire professional waiters. Like, that is a job that literally anyone can do, and most people want to do it, not as a career, but as, like, a stepping stone, Like, you're... looking for your first job, you're trying to make some money this summer, right? So you get a job at a McDonald's or whatever, and you're a waiter there. You're not going to make more than minimum wage because everyone wants that job. Like, everyone can do it. So the demand for these low entry jobs is so high that the owner can afford not to pay well. So they will pay, a shitty wage because they don't expect that you're going to stay there and make a career. The turnover for these jobs is phenomenal anyway. And what's going to happen is that It is like an entry level. You put something on your resume. You get used to the idea of working a 9 to 5 job, right? Like when I was a kid, as a teenager, I loved the idea of actually being and working at a restaurant. I worked at KFC. I worked a little bit at a McDonald's. I loved doing that, right? Like the wage was shit, but for me as a kid, I think I was like 16 at the time. No, I was 18. Sorry, I was 18. For me as a kid, the fact that I was getting paid and I was making my first paycheck was phenomenal. Now, I didn't stay there for more than 6 months. And after me, like, someone else came. But the idea is, like, that's why these jobs are poorly paid. They're not meant to be a career. They are meant for, like, young people to go there, work a little bit until they find something better. The owner knows this. You're supposed to know this, right? Now, there are other places, like, for example, Hell's Kitchen, right? Like Chef Gordon's Ramsay restaurants and these other prestigious places where you go and you do a school in order to learn how to be a waiter, right? You learn the waitering school, and then you do it as a career. And those people are very well paid, and they still get tips. So, like, let's stop it with the lefty mindset of, oh, well, the person should pay better, so there's no tips. If you go to a Michelin 3-star restaurant, you're still expected to tip. And those people are probably paid better than you. Like, they make more money than you. Hi V, hope your day is good. What she did is wrong. This was a case of entitlement, like tipping you is required. Yeah, like, unironically, she probably lost her job if the video is real. Like, I would fire that person. I would be like, look, at the end of the day, tips can vary. And I'll tell you this as a waiter as well. Or as a YouTuber, right? Like, I don't get tips, I get super chats. Some streams, I get a lot of super chats. I mean, there are streams where I got $100 super chats. That's a lot, right? There are other streams where you don't get any super chats. And you don't really know why. Like on some streams you consider that you're entertaining. On other streams you consider that you're boring. And yet, you know, like the super chats, they differ. Like you get them some streams, you don't get them others. But at the end of the month, you get around the same, you know, like if you stream regularly, you kind of know how much you're going to get by the end of the month. It's the same with the service industry, right? So what that lady did is not just unacceptable, but it's stupid. Like, sure, you know, you go and you deliver $400 worth of grocery shoppings and you get no tips. I mean, it happens, right? But then you may go and you deliver like $20 of grocery shoppings and you get $50 tip. You cannot predict how much money you're going to get. However, by the end of the month, I guarantee to you, like, unless it's like, I don't know, like a really bizarre month where like literally no one tips or everyone tips a lot, most of the time you know how much you're going to make in tips. No hot tub, no tip? Oh, I see. I probably wouldn't tip at a really nice place, but there's a lot of people that do. Now, again, you know, it depends. But like, think about it this way. If you go to a really nice place because you're rich and you want a gold digger, there are legitimately men out there who are actively seeking for gold diggers. American Outlier isn't one of them. And these gold diggers, like, you gotta impress them, right? So you take them to a fancy place, and then they're going to expect that you tip. If you don't tip, you're not going to get a second date. So there are a lot of people who tip at a 3-star Michelin restaurant. Like, there's two types of people that go to these restaurants, right? So, like, if you're talking high-end restaurant, let's not talk about 3 stars, right? Like, something that doesn't require a reservation, but like a 1-star Michelin restaurant, right? Like a very fancy place. There's kind of like 3 types of people that go there. Number 1 are the tourists, right? So like, you're visiting London and you want to see what's all the rave about Chef Gordon Ramsay, you go to his restaurant. Number 2 are people who try to get a business deal. So you're trying to go and set up a business meeting and you want to impress the other party, you're going to tip. If you don't tip, the other party is going to say, oh, he's poor, his business is probably shit. Right? And the third are the ones that are trying to get the gold digger. and they're taking her out on a date. I do tip, but it depends on the waiter's attitude. Is it the same with the streamer? Like if I make a stream and I'm really grouchy, do I get less tips? I need to try that. I don't know, I have the soy face thumbnail now. I guess I must be happy, right? Is that how it works? Impress women by being disrespectful with the service staff and then tipping $1,000. They see it as an act of dominance. Well, actually, it depends on the woman. See, like in Romania, even gold diggers, they want to appear as if they're not gold digging. It's kind of weird, but it's all about like the social status, the reputation, right? So Tactical Droid knows what I'm talking about. Like you get these women which act as if they are the most. They're not like the other girls, right? Like they act as if they're not interested in your body, your wealth, but in reality they are. Like they're very interested, but they want to be perceived as if they're not. So if you actually donate $1,000 as a tip, they will think that you're trying to buy them, if that makes some sense. And they will not go to a second date. They do not want to feel like they have obligations. You forgot to point out a thing while making the soy face in your thumbnail. I will have to actually fix that. Hey, you got the Stargate letters, right? 180X. Are you Japanese? Why is it that people do not tip in Japan? What is the explanation for it? I want to impress a woman on a date. I just dominate my waitress by T-posing and not saying a word. If you want to impress a woman on a date, talk to two of your friends and make them act as if they're going to mug you. Right? And like when you're going to a dark alley or something, they jump out, they ask for your wallet, and you play as a macho man, you do a little bit of bravado, and you intimidate them and they run away. I guarantee to you, like, this is a successful date. I do not think that this is something that would not work. You just need to make sure that you don't get in legal trouble, right? So no touching, like no punching, no nothing. You don't want to get into a fight, right? You just want to hire two of your friends that look intimidating, and that you're walking through an alley or something, and these two guys, they come up. It's like, yo, give me your wallet. And they have to be intimidating. And then you go, it's like, no, you're not going to have my wallet, over my dead body. And the other guy needs to go like, come on, man, it's not worth it. Yeah, like, let's find an easier mark or some shit. Yeah, you need to Juicy Smollett your first date. You need to Juicy Smollett your first date, but with better actors. Imagine you try that and you actually get robbed by the stage. No, imagine you try that and she actually calls the cops, or there's a cop there. But then ironically, like, do I have any ladies in the chat? I must have some ladies in the chat. Ladies, tell me from the chat. Let me know. Imagine this. You're out with a guy on a date, right? And there's these two thugs that are coming up and they're trying to rob you. And the guy just defends you, he pulls you behind him, like he goes between you and the thugs, and you're like, no, you're not taking her money, right? And the thugs go like, all right, let's get out of here. How would you feel? Is that like a bonus for the date? Is that a positive or a negative? Brianna would raise his hand. Just because the big scary guys with knives in the alleyway asked you for your wallet doesn't mean you have to give it to them. Can you imagine if the lady has a gun, though? Like it's American Outlier's daughter or some shit. And she pulls out a Uzi from her purse. Yeah, okay, so what I just said, do not try it in America. Yeah, like you can try it in other, not in America though. Too dangerous. Too dangerous. You can probably try it in other countries, but not America. Off topic, but I was wondering, you plan on making a not safe for work horror game, right? How would that work? As aren't those entirely different? Have you played Resident Evil, the part with Lady Dimitrescu? Where, you know, you got like big booba lady that's chasing you? Kind of like that. Except instead of Lady Dimitrescu, you have like cute succubies that life drain. So it works like that. And there are actually quite a few. Horror and hentai. Well, not hentai. Horror and porn go really well together. Believe it or not, the American slashers are what actually created this genre. So basically, back when Hollywood actually had freedom of creativity, they noticed that horror is not really something that most people like. It's kind of a niche thing. Especially women didn't like it back then. Like, they didn't like getting scared. So what they did is, like, they created the modern American slasher. And for a while, American slashers were very popular. I mean, you have Freddy Krueger, you got Jason Voorhees, you got Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you got, what was it? Halloween, not Halloween, Valentine's. Like, there's a lot of slashers, and they all share the same thing. You have a couple of students that are incredibly hot, like some teenagers that you put on the movie's poster, a lady with big tits, and at the beginning, she probably even has, like, some sex. Like back then, they would even show boobies on the big screen. And it would attract audience, like, it would attract a lot of people just because the actresses were hot. And after you attract people, then you have the slasher. Now the thing is that the slasher itself, the hotter the main protagonist, like usually, I think Scary Movie made fun of this. But in a lot of these slasher films, like, you have the heroine, right? And the heroine can either survive or die. Like, in some slasher movies, they survive, but in others, they die. However, like, she's like one of the teenagers that managed to resist until the end of the movie. Dude, I did my study on this. And it's because of the lizard brain in the male's head, right? Like, they care more about a lady in distress. They care about the guys too, but, like, the lady in distress is the one that most of the audience wants to see that she escapes. And again, like, think about all of them, right? Like Scream, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, all of them have, like, the pretty lady that goes all the way until the end. Sometimes she dies, sometimes she escapes. It's interesting, isn't it? So yeah, like this idea of mixing horror with sex appeal has been done, and it's been done very well. I mean, most of these movies that we talked about are known around the world. Like, they're not just an American thing; it's a worldwide thing. But if you want to know, like, how I do horror and hentai, think about Poison Ivy from Batman. But, like, Poison Ivy from Batman, the first iteration, not the woke shit. Like, Poison Ivy from Batman, in the beginning, she was incredibly sexy and alluring, but she was very evil, and she killed men through kisses, right? So, like, if she kissed a man, he would die. Now imagine being in a mansion with a lot of poison ivies. That's kind of how you can make a game that plays on horror and hentai. Like, if they catch you, you're dead. And sometimes, like, poison ivy in some iterations would kill men quite brutally. They would fall down dead, and they would have, like, bizarre veins that, you know, like, were colorful, showing the poison that's going from their lips into their heart. So you can do it. You know, some Romanian horror movie. Romania doesn't make horror movies, as far as I know. Again, like, the problem is that they're very niche. And the people who make these movies, they want to get their money back. But there are some really good Romanian movies. Memories from the Golden Era, it's about communism. Philanthropica is a very good one. It talks a lot about Eastern European cynicism. Poison Ivy is sometimes good and sometimes bad. Well, I was talking about the early iterations, right? So, like, in the early iterations, when they... Because the thing is, and this is what really annoys me about, I guess, like, modern Hollywood and modern storytelling. It's the fact that in the beginning, you could actually have, like, female characters that were evil. Right, so there was like no reason to redeem them. They're not heroes. They're just evil. Poison Ivy was one of them. Harley Quinn was another. But for some fucking reason, oh, she's hot. She can't be evil. Let's give her a redemption arc. And almost every single female character in fiction, well, actually, she's not evil. She's misunderstood. Like, they literally just can't have a female character that, no, she's like the Joker, okay? Like, he's not misunderstood. She's just fucking evil. Why can't they do that, though? Huh? Why can't they do that? Like, it's the same thing with Poison Ivy. Well, actually, she's good now. Well, Harley Quinn. Well, actually, she broke up with the Joker and she's good now. It takes away the fun, you know, in the character. Yeah, like, the whole thing with I Can Fix Her is why these characters are popular. Like, you're supposed to try to fix her, but you shouldn't. So no, like, yeah, she has to be the girl boss. But like, same with Catwoman. Like, well, the thing with Catwoman is, like, I understand. Like, here's the problem. Like, it's fine if some villains, you know, like some female characters that are villains, they can switch sides or have a redemption arc or whatever. But why is it that every single fucking one of them has to become good? And I'm genuinely, like, trying to think of a female character that's just, like, evil, like, and she's hot, right? Like, sexy, hot, and she's just evil. Like, there's no redeeming her. No, like, she's just, like, a bad person. I can't think of any. I can think of a lot of male characters that are like that. The Joker, for example. Actually, like, most of the male characters that are villains, they stay villains, right? Like General Zod. You know, like, sometimes they may make an alliance out of convenience with the main character and stuff. But, like, overwhelmingly, no, they're just bad. Because, like, they need to serve a purpose in the telling of the story. You need to have a villain that the superhero beats up. But with female characters, if they're hot, all of them. Literally, every single one of them. Actually, well, she's complex. She's misunderstood. She's bad. Miss Heed. Well, yeah, but, like, Miss Heed is not a character from American comics. Yeah, Philanthropica is an interesting Eastern European movie. It's a Romanian one about a school teacher which is underpaid. His students make more money than him. He's trying to write a book. He's hardworking. And he's living with his parents because he doesn't have money to move out. And one day he meets a guy which teaches him how to beg. And he basically says that if you beg and you raise your hand to other people, unless you tell them a compassionate story, you're not going to get any money. So he finds it that it's under his dignity to do this, but eventually the guy is like, well, you don't actually have to beg. And he teaches him a scam, like, go to a restaurant, you're going to go with this lady, you're going to pretend that you're married, and you can't afford to pay the bill, and then other people will pay the bill for you, and then you split the money because you don't actually order anything, and the waiter was in on it. So anyway, it's like they're teaching him the scam, and this teacher falls in love with a thought from the high school, which actually cons him from cash. It's really interesting. You should watch it if you find a translation for it. Teaches you a lot of cynicism and what happens when you try to help people. Yeah, it's definitely like there is a cynicism. It's not like if the left would have done it, they would have like some message against capitalism or, you know, like some class struggle. No, like this movie just tells you this is how the world is. Things are tough, and you need to watch out for yourself, and do not allow sexy women to drain you of money. It's what the movie teaches. Like Romanian films made after the fall of communism. Yeah, Eastern European movie reviews? No. No, I'm not going to do that. Anyway. Let me see if I find some other interesting news. A lot of news about Spider-Man, which for some reason I have no interest in. Okay, so this one is actually something that I found surprisingly good. Did you know that Disney is now reverting its decision with the dwarves? Which begs the question, like, why did they do it in the first place, right? Like, how did it even get greenlit to begin with? So, God, it's so fucking bad. Like, first of all, why make a real life adaptation if you're going to use CGI anyway? And apparently, they, according to Miles Chung, they almost completely rewritten its live-action Snow White film with extensive reshoots. The movie has been delayed a full year. Among the things that ended up on the cutting room are the diverse dwarves, which are now replaced with CGI dwarves that are closer to the original cartoon. They dewokified the movie in response to the massive uproar over Kathleen Kennedy's apparent commitment to diversity, exclusion, and equity. Yeah, I mean, I'm genuinely curious if Disney can now fire Kathleen Kennedy. Like, here's the thing, right? Like, up until now, people were saying, well, you can't fire Kathleen Kennedy because she's a woman and you're going to be accused of misogynismus. After South Park made fun of Kathleen Kennedy after the last episode, they have absolutely no reason not to fire her unless she has blackmail over them. This is the only logical, reasonable explanation that I can possibly think of. Or maybe she's got like some contract which she says that they don't own the rights of Star Wars unless she's on the project or some shit. But I don't think that's the case. I genuinely think that she must have dirt on some higher-ups at Hollywood if she manages to still keep her job after she has become a cultural pariah. When South Park makes fun of you, when South Park, they flat out name drop you, and they call you the cause for all evil in Disney. And then you look at the comments, and 90% of the comments people agree. If you still maintain your job after that, the only explanation are that people have dirt on you. Like, seriously, imagine this. Whatever job you're having, dear listener, right? I'm looking at you. Yeah, I'm looking at you, right? Like you, yeah. I don't know what job you're having, but imagine South Park accurately points out that your company that you work at suffers because of you. How long until you get fired? You'd probably get fired the next day. That may be the case. There were rumors that her contract made her unfireable. Dude, you find a way around. Like, you find a legal loophole. You try. Like, there is no amount of liability on one contract than the damage that she caused to Disney. She caused irreparable damage. I mean, I'm not even talking about the money that was lost. Fine, you know, like you make a movie, it bombs. She ruined IPs. I mean, let me put it this way. There is no Star Wars that can come up now that would get me hyped. If I find out that the new Star Wars movie is coming tomorrow, I don't even go see it. I'm not interested. Like, unless you pull off like some really mind-boggling trailer. Like a trailer that's so awesome and over the top, I may consider it. But other than that, like, no. And even then, even if I consider it, I would have to wait for other people that I trust to go see it. Because I sure as hell don't trust Rotten Tomatoes. Kathleen Kennedy exposed Rotten Tomatoes. Like, what are we talking about? She single-handedly exposed IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes for not being trustable websites. Like, we know that the people at Rotten Tomatoes are lying to the public. They are manipulating the algorithm. You wouldn't know this without Kathleen Kennedy. Like, look, it can happen that a movie that's a 6 can be reviewed as an 8, or a movie that's an 8 can be reviewed as a 6. That's fine. But when you have movies that are so fucking shit and you sell them as a 10, oh, the website's credibility plummets lower than the stocks at Disney. Well, Amazon also exposed Rotten Tomatoes, but it's like this whole ideology, right? Like, without the woke ideology, where it's so fucking obvious that the movie is shit, but they're pushing it anyway. And you get like movie after movie after movie after movie that constantly bomb. Like, you don't even get the movie that's good. Everything is shit. And then when you look at these websites and you see user critic 4.0, official critic reviews 9.0, fuck off. No, it's not that they have paid critics. Like, the thing with the critics, you don't even need to pay them if you're a big company. So the way it works is that before, okay, let's say I'm The Guardian, and I have like a column, a section where I hire people to do movie reviews. The people who work at The Guardian will usually get, for important movies, an early screening. So they will say, okay, you guys can come here like a couple of months early, you get to see the movie, and then you get to write a review for the movie that isn't out yet, right? The public is going to read The Guardian. Like, they're going to give clicks to The Guardian because they have the scoop. Like, no one else managed to review that, right? So you're going to get a lot of clicks. Now, the problem is when you do not get these early reviews. And I remember like when Kotaku wasn't getting early reviews and they started saying that, oh my god, it's anti-journalism. Oh, it's so horrible. Oh, how dare they treat us like that? Right? Because it really damages not only their reputation, but it also damages their finances. So these journalists don't need to be paid. Like, they just need to know that if you're invited to one of these early reviews and you give them a bad review, you don't get invited again. So you don't really need to be paid. Like it's something that's self-understood. They know these things. So basically what ends up happening is that the reviews from the official critics aren't the problem. Is the reviews from the actual users. Like you have bots that will put up the review score. They will pump up the review score by giving like fake 10 out of 10s. And then you have like legit criticism that is negative, which gets shadow banned, deleted, removed. And we have seen this happen time and time again. So yeah, they have been exposed. I figured it out, V. The US military is hiring Hollywood for weapons of mass destruction by making these movies that cause craters in theater. Well, it's because Vegeta and Goku are fighting in these theaters since they're empty and no one gets hurt. You know, like Goku doesn't go all out if there's other people around him because he doesn't want to hurt people. But like when he goes into these theaters that are screening these Hollywood blockbusters, then there's no one there, so Goku doesn't risk injuring anyone. Funny story, I used to work IMDb as a contract worker, and we were aggregating users' comments rating data. Example, users puts great movie, but gives it a 1 star. I think the reasons they do that, it's specifically so that they bypass the algorithm. Okay, I got a question. Do you guys think that American Outlier is going to end up reviewing anime? So, American Outlier is African American. For those of you who don't know, he's a subscriber to this channel for a long while. And he wants to start a YouTube channel, and he wants to talk about Thomas Sowell. He wants to talk about history. He wants to talk about all these things. But what I do know that he is eventually going to talk about is he going to talk about anime? I think like this is the calling, right? Like some of the best anime commentators on YouTube happen to be black. I'm just saying. I'm looking at the trends. All right, no racismus here. Just saying that like some of the best anime commentator channels are from people that happen to be black. So I want to know, is this American Outlier's destiny? Will I see him 5 years in the future on his channel talking and discussing anime? What do you guys think? Like, be honest, please. I want only honest reviews, right? Like think about it before voting. Don't just click. I want you to stand back and think about, like, you need to do this for a little bit, right? Like you're thinking. And then I want you to make an educated vote. Don't forget about Ayn Rand. No, I don't know if he likes Ayn Rand. He may, though. I have no idea. But like, look, American Outlier. Like, let's be real. The public wants this. Like you are going to get subscribers if you do this. It is your calling. Like, you just have to. You gotta go down with the peer pressure. I'm sorry. You can have all of that and anime at the same time. See, Outlier, like, there are possibilities. Like you can literally have anime girls talk about history. Oh my fucking god. Imagine if he's got like a VTube avatar as an anime girl. He goes ooh and shit with a voice changer, and he talks about Thomas Sowell. If anime is still relevant after 5 years. Well, apparently Japan is courting ESG investments, so it's hard to tell. But it did take the ESG shit around 5 to 6 years in order to destroy Hollywood to the point where we are today. So I suppose like we may still have anime in 5 years. Yes. Voice changers aren't good enough for that yet. Yeah, but like you have AI stuff. Like you can make a video with AI and you just like type down the stuff and it can read to you like an anime girl. Look at this. It's not even close, American Outlier. It's not even fucking close. 90% of the people say you're going to be talking about anime. Are you telling me that 90% of the people are wrong? Like this is not like a 50-50 split. It's not even a 50-60. This is another good point, you know, like, woke characters do not sell merchandise. This is such an interesting observation. I remember, like, when people actually used to go to the movies, or, you know, they would read comics, and it wasn't just the comic or the movie, but they would buy shirts, they would buy keychains, like, there was actual merchandise which people like to buy. And now, like, you get all these people that are defending, like, Mary Jane from Spider-Man 2, or they're defending, you know, whatever woke stuff is happening, like The Last of Us 2, Abby. But where are the keychains with Abby? Where's the t-shirts with Abby? Where you know, is the merchandise? Where's the toys with Abby? Like, did you notice that, like, none of those exist? Do a historic analysis of pirated hentai game. I don't think he likes that type of history. No, he likes the type of history with dead American presidents. Anyway, speaking of American presidents, did you know that they apparently they melted down the Robert Lee statue, and they're going to remake it into some woke stuff? And I'm thinking, like, didn't they actually do this during the Great Leap Forward at the Chinese Revolution? Because, like, it's literally the same thing, isn't it? Like, obviously they will say, well, yeah, but it's, you know, racismus or whatever. Like, it's interesting how, like, Marx is never accused of racismus. Like, you're never going to see Karl Marx having his statue being toppled. It's just, like, interesting. But the problem is the fact that you destroy a historical monument, right? Like, even if the statue is really bad, then if it survived like hundreds of years, just fucking leave it alone. I mean, I am on the same opinion with the Karl Marx statue, by the way. You know, like, there are Karl Marx statues in the United States. I don't fucking know why. I'm pretty sure there's a reason. But, like, it's a historical monument at this point. If it survives for so many decades. Why would you tear it down? Let me see if I can find the thing. Yeah, the statue of Robert Lee melted down to create new art. And again, like, I think like Trump actually said this. It's like, all right, so are you going to go after American presidents next? And there was like during the BLM protest, like I called it the war on stone men. Like they really like, just like topple statues, like protesters would destroy historical monuments and stuff. And it's like, okay, so this is the great leap forward, isn't it? And then they did go after U.S. presidents. I mean, even the statue of Abraham Lincoln got vandalized. They really didn't like Thomas Jefferson and other people. And no one asked, like, what was Karl Marx's view on slavery? By the way, he was in favor. He was like, it's a necessary evil. And I'm like, okay, well, interesting how his statues don't get vandalized. So basically, this was like a joke from the Babylon Bee. In order to protect the statues of presidents, just put a beard on them and disguise them as Karl Marx statues. Hello, Raging Bull. Why am I the second best? Like, every single time you tell someone that he's second best, they will wonder, it's like, okay, well, like, who's first best? Lincoln was a horrible guy. Yeah, like, if you're looking at Abraham Lincoln and you actually read the history, but not, you know, the pop culture, he's a complex individual, let's put it like this. What is his name? Razor Fist did a video on Lincoln. The thing with Lincoln, I will tell you this. There are certain things in culture, right? Which, give me 1 second so I can have a sneeze. Alright, sorry, my bad. Right, now, what I was, if you are a person that, like, wants to explain to someone that they're wrong. Oh, Vlad the Impaler is the best? He wasn't actually a Romanian. Romania wasn't a thing back then. He was a Valachian. Still part of Romania, but at the time, right? Well, what I'm trying to say is that if you want to persuade a person over certain historical facts, you need to pick your battles. Like, there are certain battles that you will not be able to win at all, under no circumstance. And the reason for it is that there is so much pop culture that is being pushed to the point where the person is going to think that you're crazy. Right? So, like, in the case of Abraham Lincoln, he is viewed as Honest Abe, the only politician in the world that never tells a lie. Like you get all of these movies and all of these pop culture references and stuff that's being told at school, to the point where, like, to say that Abe did even something wrong is inconceivable. So there's no point in even attempting, right? Like, in order to even approach the subject to someone, like, they would have to actually first be a right-winger, believe other things, and notice, okay, well, if this and this and this was wrong, like, maybe this one is wrong as well. And then they may be willing to listen. Right? Because that's the thing. It's like most people it's kind of like taking a person from point A to point D without going through B and C first. Right? It's kind of like that. So if you're in a public space and you're saying, well, Abraham Lincoln was actually, you know, not the best president, let's put it like that. Oh, well, most people will just tune out and they will think you're a racist. There was a time when people knew that Nazis were a brand of commie. They actually know this in Romania today. It took decades of disinformation and pop culture for people to change their narrative. Well, yeah, because, like, it's not really about commie or not. It's about authoritarian and freedom. Like, the Nazis, the fascists, and the commies were not pro-freedom. They had other visions in mind. And due to that, you have the concept, well, actually, the Nazis are far right. I would think, like, a better example of what the far right is But I don't even know if you can put them on the political spectrum, because like it's a different type of politics. I would say like theocracies, right? So like the Middle East, like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, I would say that is far right. Like that is on the right-wing political spectrum. That is a religious theocracy that believes in the right to rule in a monarchy, right? Like that is what far right would look like. I'm a bit late, but check Wakanda voice changer. It's pretty good and open source, but runs locally, so a bit taxing on the machine. I should actually look at it. Maybe I can pull off a cool voice. You're not crazy. It's just motherfuckers that don't want to read. Well, it's also like the expectations that you have on people, right? People's time is very valuable. And most people read stuff that improves their lives. So like if you're an engineer, you're going to read engineering. If you're a doctor, you're going to read about new medical practices. Very few people even care about reading on history. And most people aren't even passionate about it, right? Like if you're not interested in a subject, if you're not passionate into it, why would you read it? And sure, you know, like you may like benefit from the knowledge, and but most people do not find history to be that interesting. Unless George R.R. Martin writes a book about it, and then everyone thinks it's cool. Anyway, right, I need to go now because I have to get ready for the Archcast. And those of you who want more of moi, you're going to find me on the Archcast. I think we're starting a little bit earlier than usual. I think it's starting in 2 hours. So I have 2 hours to prepare. Anyway, I'll see you guys there. Take care.